Oki Ambawastich, Daranastara, Tanshe, and good afternoon, everyone. Greetings to all of you in the mother languages of the Indigenous peoples who cared for this land for countless generations before we settled here. This is the original territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Siksika, Piikani, and Kainai First Nations. This is also the land of the Ithaka Stoney Nakoda, including Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Good Stoney First Nations, as well as Tsuut'ina First Nation. This place of confluence at the intersection of the Elbow and Bow Rivers is also traditional homeland to Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3, and is the place that many Indigenous urban Calgarians call their home. I appreciate everyone coming together today for a very special announcement. After a unanimous vote of Council in January of 2022, directing administration to reimagine a way to advance the construction of a replacement facility for the aging Saddledome, a great deal of work has taken place to bring us to this milestone day. In fact, during the last 15 months of fostering trusting relationships with partner organizations and generating different scenarios for mutual success, we have been able to reach a place where we have exceeded the original goal. Today, I'm very pleased to share with you that the City of Calgary has reached agreements in principle with the Province of Alberta, Calgary Sports and Entertainment Corporation, and Calgary Stampede to proceed with the Rivers District Masterplan supporting the development of Calgary's Culture and Entertainment District. Council approved, yeah, please feel free. Now, Council approved these agreements in principle just this afternoon in a unanimous vote. This generational investment in placemaking, creating space for community to gather. This entertainment hub will feature a new event center and a community arena, along with critical infrastructure required to support growth and development. We will be able to improve transportation connections, including the 6th Street underpass, and multiple street and public realm improvements. We will also be able to create both indoor and outdoor gathering spaces for Calgarians, which translates to more community-based programming for families to enjoy a day out, as well as creating an immersive festival experience for folks who are attending conferences and events. This exciting project will be brought to life through a partnership that sees a contribution of $537.3 million from the City of Calgary, $356 million from Calgary Sports and Entertainment Corporation, $330 million from the Province of Alberta, and a land swap with the Calgary Stampede. We are building upon momentum with this announcement. In East Village alone, a $400 million initial investment by the city since 2007 has generated $3 billion in private investment to date. The Rivers District Masterplan is based on a solid vision that produces solid results. Today's announcement builds on that success, and it stands to attract more hotels, more restaurants, businesses, and homes to this area. That means more jobs during construction and ultimately during attractions that will be happening at both the BMO conference facility and the event center. This is another signal to the market that Calgary is making strong investments into its future. In closing, I'm grateful to the team in City Administration and our consultants at CAA Icon for working tirelessly and staying focused on delivering a deal structure that benefits Calgarians. To our partners at the Provincial Government, Calgary Sports and Entertainment Corporation, and Calgary Stampede, thank you for engaging and participating in this game-changing project. To all of our community partners, which includes our visioning group, who advocated for this project while challenging us to get it right, you made this outcome better. And to my council colleagues, thank you for taking your commitment to public service to heart. Today marks 18 months since we were sworn in, and look at what we have accomplished together. I asked a lot from you in 2022 when I asked you to support a new chance at getting this project done, and again, when I asked you to allow this process to take the time needed to build trust with our partners. We had a wide range of views on this project, and through civil discourse, we arrived not only at a clear decision, but a unanimous decision. I value the work that we have done together, and I value the team that we have all become. So let me now turn it over to a member of our council team Councillor Sharp, who has headed up the Event Centre Committee and played an important role in today's announcement. Thank you for stepping up to the task, and thank you to the members of your committee for your work. I'll turn the mic over to you, Councillor Sharp.
Wouldn't be Calgary if it wasn't windy in the afternoon. Good afternoon, and thank you, Mayor. Thanks to Premier Smith, Mr. John Bean, Mr. Joel Cowley, members of the Event Centre Committee, and my fellow members of Council, and all of you for being here today. I want everyone to take a moment and look around you. These grounds, the downtown, this entire city has taken shape in no small part due to the decision of 4 partners a century ago. 4 local ranchers, the Big Four, agreed to help fund the greatest outdoor show on earth. A pretty risky and ambitious goal for a city of around 60,000 people at the time. From a city building perspective, the agreement made by 4 partners a century ago are an inflection point, decisions which help set up the future course of a city. And these inflection points are more than not supported by foundational infrastructure, an airport, a hospital, a water treatment plant, racetrack and grandstand, a museum. These are all vital building blocks of the city. And here we are, a little over 100 years, 1.3 million people later, and we have a new Big Four. The city, the province, Calgary Sports Entertainment Corporation, and the Calgary Stampede and Exhibition. We are 4 partners who are all agreed and determined to create a new inflection point to help guide the city's course over coming generations. Make no mistake, a new event center in Calgary is more than just a building. It's foundational infrastructure, a vital investment in our city's future's prosperity, vibrancy, and growth. Today's announcement is a culmination of deliberate and thoughtful process, an enormous amount of teamwork and collaboration. The result is a project that's so much more than an event center. It's fulfilling a long-standing vision we've had for our downtown and our city. The goal for the Rivers District has been to create a vibrant destination for Calgarians and visitors alike, a district that attracts people year-round and throughout the day and night, a place where people come not just to take in a single event, but a place people come to experience whether they're attending an event or not. The agreement we reached today will build on that destination. It includes an event center, indoor and outdoor public gathering spaces, and a community rink for public use. It's not a single venue or a single building. This is a district, and one that will serve every member of our community. The completed district will attract new people, more events, and greater investment. It'll play a key role in the redevelopment of East Victoria Park and Calgary's downtown revitalization. And of course, it'll be home to the Calgary Flames. And other professional sports teams, along a broad variety of global and local artists and entertainment and events. It'll be home to local businesses and a gathering place for community. This investment, supported by the Government of Alberta, complements the city's efforts to transform downtown, and it will be critical to ensure that we can accommodate the added traffic and people that this project's going to bring. The plan will also provide Stampede the funding to support its operations and support future investment to master this plan for Stampede Park. Our partnership, which brings together the public and private sectors, mean we can invest in a new city infrastructure that would benefit Calgarians for generations to come, and I see you sitting over there. All of us, each of the partners involved in this project, believe in this city and its people. Our joint investment, public and private, isn't just an investment in infrastructure, but in our city itself, in our community, and in our province. Without a doubt in my mind, this project will serve all Calgarians and visitors to our city from across Alberta and the world. And as proud as I am of this project, I am so proud on how we got here. The agreement we have today could only be possible through the effective governance that we had, our skilled advisors. The Event Center Committee that is standing behind me has overseen an enormous effort from city administration and our deal structure advisors to ensure we put the right people and the right project before council for its approval, and that passed unanimously today. Without these efforts, an agreement as impressive as the one we have today would have not been possible. Finally, thank you so much to the members of the Event Center Committee, the Province of Alberta, Calgary Sports Entertainment Corporation, the Calgary Stampede, and all my colleagues on City Council for their ongoing support. I will now invite Premier Danielle Smith to the podium to make her remarks on behalf of the province, which is a key partner to this project. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Councillor Sharp, for the introduction, and quite an achievement to have this be a unanimous decision of council. Those don't happen often, so I think that shows an incredible amount of support for this deal. In Calgary, we did it. As someone who grew up in this beautiful city, I couldn't be any more excited than I am today. We all know that Calgary is one of the greatest places in the world to live and work and raise a family. But as the city grows towards 1.5 million people and beyond, it is critical that we invest in infrastructure to ensure that we are growing both our economy and our quality of life. Over the past number of years, Calgary has been faced with the difficult problem of replacing the aging Saddledome and revitalizing the Rivers District and our downtown. Every day we delay finding a solution, more and more economic and cultural opportunities are lost, and the risk of losing our beloved hockey team grows. And let me tell you, Calgary isn't Calgary without the Flames, and Alberta isn't Alberta without the Battle of Alberta. I felt this way for a long time, and it's one of the first things I did when I was sworn in as Premier was to write to the city and Calgary Sports and Entertainment Corporation to encourage them to go back to the negotiating table. It's why I tasked MLA Rick McIver to, as well as my office's Executive Director Rob Anderson, to work with the parties in identifying ways the province could assist the parties to reach a final agreement in a manner that's respectful to provincial taxpayers. We made it clear from the start that although the province would not invest in the actual construction or operation of the arena itself, that was the responsibility of the city and the Flames, the province would be willing to invest in support of infrastructure for the arena, the Stampede, and the expanded BMO Centre. So as part of our agreement with the city and the Calgary Stampede, the province will be contributing up to $300 million. Most of it will be over the next 3 years for road and bridge construction, for LRT, for site utilities, for site reclamation, and other enabling infrastructure, including a community arena for amateur sports. These investments will not only service the new arena, but will be critical to the development of the entire area. It'll enhance access to the Stampede grounds and the expanded BMO Construction Center, or a convention center, and ensure a vibrant downtown and Rivers District. And thanks to that provincial contribution, combined with the significant commitments from the city, from CSEC, and from the Stampede, I'm here to report to you all with great excitement that we did get the Calgary Arena deal done. Calgary will be home to one of the greatest arena and event centers in all of North America, igniting a sports, entertainment, and cultural scene that will build a lifetime of memories for families and for visitors, and will generate billions in economic activity over the next several decades. We're also, as I mentioned, partnering with the city through an additional investment of up to $30 million to build a new 1,000-seat community arena neighboring the main arena that will serve youth hockey players from all over the province and give them the special experience of playing their games where their heroes actually practice. But there is still one more hurdle in front of us as we get to the finish line. After the election, the province's contribution to this arena deal must be approved by Provincial Cabinet and the Treasury Board before the end of summer. That's why on May 29th, I'm hoping Calgarians give our UCP government a clear mandate to proceed with this arena deal. Calgary, it's time to move on with this project. We can't afford to go back. In closing, I want to thank everyone who was involved in getting this project to the finish line, including MLA Rick McIver, Mayor Jyoti Gondek, Councillor Sonya Sharp, and of course, the Calgary Flames through John Bean and CSEC, and the Calgary Stampede, the NHL, and everyone else who had a hand in this great achievement. Now to all my friends here today, it's time to do what Albertans and Calgarians are known for. Let's get her done. I want to be back here in a few years from now watching a game, sitting in a brand new world-class arena, watching a 7-game battle of Alberta for all the ages, and I can't wait to get started. Thank you, and let's keep moving Calgary and Alberta forward. And might I just say, I know this is a great day for the Flames, but for tonight, let's go Oilers.
Thank you very much, Premier. Thanks for sneaking that in on our home turf. I would now like to call on the President and CEO of Calgary Sports and Entertainment Corporation, John Bean.
Good afternoon. That's a tough act to follow. She had me till the very end when it was that little pitch that just kind of, that's tough to swallow, actually. Anyway, thanks everyone for coming this afternoon. We are really excited today to be part of an announcement where we're going to have the new home of the Calgary Flames, the Calgary Hitmen, the Calgary Roughnecks, and the Calgary Wranglers. And this announcement will help us put Calgary and the province back on the map for major concerts. There's no doubt about it that, and we heard this from our friends from the north, who we compete with fiercely on the ice, that they were getting messaging that some of the big acts won't actually come over the Rockies because they could only hit Edmonton. And if they could hit Edmonton and Calgary, they'd come back. We were counting the number of concerts that weren't coming here that were going to Edmonton, but we were counting some concerts that weren't coming to Alberta. So we're really excited about that. And as been previously mentioned, you know what, we were so excited to be part of having a community rink, part of the main arena. There's nothing more special than seeing these young kids right over there, knowing that they're going to scratch the same ice surface that some of those wily veterans sitting next to them and some of our current players. We couldn't be more excited, and it's going to be totally cool for you guys to have that experience. Premier Smith, thanks to you and the province for stepping up and helping with major infrastructure funding for the entire district. Enhanced transportation infrastructure will ensure everyone attending an event at the Convention Centre, Stampede Park, or the new Event Centre has a great all-around experience. And I think a lot of us can talk about the experience we have today, coming and going, and thinking about a new underpass on 6th, thinking about 3 lanes coming in on 17th, thinking about lanes down Joel's Land to the south to 25th. That all works. That all works really well and is really going to help improve everyone's experience, whether they're coming to a convention or a concert. Mayor Gondek, Councillor Sharp, City Administration, and President Cowley, thank you all for your leadership and your assistance in helping to create a clear path to bring a new event center to Calgary. We'd be remiss if we didn't acknowledge our ownership group, who have made a substantial commitment of funding towards a new event center. And while there are many ups and downs to professional sports, there can be no doubt that our ownership group wants to win championships for all of our fans in Calgary. Members of the Flames Foundation are also excited to hear the news. Since inception, the Flames Foundation has distributed over $55 million to charities throughout southern Alberta in support of education, health and wellness, and amateur sport. And finally, we actually talked to Commissioner Gary Bettman today, and he too is excited to hear the news. And he said we're now going to be in a rotation for the NHL draft and the NHL All-Star game, which are all really awesome bits of news. So before I conclude, I think it's really important that we recognize how challenging it is to be a leader in the public realm in 2023. Whether you're leading your ward, your city, or your province, you're always subject to intense scrutiny. We appreciate all that you do to help make our communities better. We'd like to call up members of our foundation program to please present a special gift to our 3 public leaders who are with us today. Thank you.
so excited about my gift. I would now like to call up the CEO of Calgary Exhibition and Stampede, Joel Cowley.
Well, thank you, Mayor. And Premier Smith, I hate to deny you a Game 7, but I'm calling it Flames in 5. This is really an exciting day for the city of Calgary, and the Calgary Stampede is honored to be a part of it. So I'm joined here today by our President and Chair of the Board, Mr. Will Osler, members of our volunteer Board of Directors, and a number of our senior staff at the Calgary Stampede. You know, along with the BMO Center expansion, which you see behind me and remains on time and on budget, an event center complex will truly create an anchor for the Rivers District. And it will serve to foster and expedite the type of development that is needed to bring the vision of the Culture and Entertainment District to fruition. And not only will it serve the citizens of Calgary, but it will provide us with a means to attract and host the world. We are so happy that the Calgary Flames will be moving into a brand new home that will keep them in Calgary for decades. The Calgary Stampede has enjoyed a great relationship with our neighbors, the Calgary Flames, since they moved here to Stampede Park over 40 years ago. And we are very, very excited to continue that relationship with the Calgary Sports and Entertainment Corporation as they move from Stampede Park and become our new neighbors to the north. So on behalf of the Calgary Stampede, our employees and our volunteers, I want to thank the Government of Alberta, the City of Calgary, and the Calgary Sports and Entertainment Corporation for their commitment to and their support of the Calgary community. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel, and thank you everyone for being here. Congratulations to all the partners. Congratulations to everyone who had a role to play. This is a great day for our city. I'm now going to turn it over to Jose Rodriguez to field questions from the media.
I will not be fielding questions from the media, but I will happily allow the media to ask some questions. So members of the media, there are 2 microphones located at the back. If you just want to line up there, we'd ask that you ask your question at the microphone so that up by everybody's recording. Please identify yourself, your outlet, and who.
Eric Francis from Sportsnet. Just wondering timelines. When do you expect to have a shovel in the ground? When do you expect to open the building? And in terms of the building itself, how much bigger is the scope of the arena compared to what it was in the previous incarnation?
Thanks very much for that question. I think the important thing to point out here is that we are at agreements in principle. We are going to be moving to definitive agreements. That's the goal. That's the very next step. Once we get to that stage, we'll be able to talk about design, construction, number of jobs, all of those things. So if you just give us a little bit of time to get those agreements signed and have definitive agreements in place, that's when we'll be able to share more information with you. The difference between what we are doing today and what we had envisioned in the past, we're not focused on a singular facility. We are focused on actually bringing an entire district to life. And it also includes the type of improvements that people need when they're experiencing an event, when they're going to and from it. There's a community facility, smaller arena. So it's much bigger in terms of scale, and it's actually much more invested in the community. Thank you.
Hi, Brody Thomas with Post Media. I guess my question is for someone with the city. I'm wondering what happens if, as Premier Smith said, if the UCP doesn't win the election. What does that mean for this funding, this $300+ million that the province is shipping in?
Thank you for the question. I think that we all, very much realize that the money is coming from the government of Alberta, regardless of a party. We're talking about a government, and we, as a committee and as a city and as a council, would expect that the next party, if they're in place, would honor that.
Hi there, Darren Krause with Livewire Calgary. I guess this is a question for the Event Center Committee. The original building was somewhere in the neighborhood of $600 million. We're now looking at $800 million. And my back of napkin math, which I'm no mathematician, but the city looks like they are covering the vast majority of the increase in the event center cost. Is that inflationary, or was that just part of the deal and some of the other partners are coming to the table to fund some of the other aspects of this deal?
I think one thing that everybody has to realize and recognize that lots of this new building is actually city infrastructure, and it's a city facility. So what you see are the cost breakdowns. Of course, inflation and time has gone on and things have gone more expensive, and that's not news to anyone. So what you're seeing right now is the cost of moving forward with this new event center in the area.
I just want to ask a follow-up. For some of the extra items, I know that there have been discussions in the past about when some of these things could come up. Are we expecting the full package to be delivered, or will there be a staging of some of these things, whether it's the public realm, the enclosed area, the community arena? Will it all be done at once, or do you expect it to happen over a number of years?
Are you talking about staging the construction of the event center?
Of the different components, so like
Okay.
the community rink, is it all going to be one package, or will it be separated out?
So what we'll do is we'll definitely today we're talking about the agreements in principle. As we move forward to the definitive agreements, more and more will be released. Like Mayor Gondek said, just be patient. This is one more step in the milestone of the project. Thank you.
Alana Smith.
We just got two lines.
Oh, I didn't see.
Mr. Barco.
Hi, I think this is a question for the mayor. Mayor, 3 years ago we were, I guess, at the same place making this announcement in the same location. So what is different this time that gives you confidence that it's actually going to get across the finish line?
This time, we have laid out everything that needs to be done to ensure that this is a community building process and that the project itself is bigger than one facility. So the event center and the community arena are one component of building out this district. The infrastructure that previously wasn't talked about is now on display. We know we need a 6th Street underpass. We know we need roadway improvements. We know there's many things that we need to do to bring this area to life. And that is transparent to every partner that is here. We all understand what the obligations are to deliver on a community capacity building project.
What are the other things that this is going to allow you to do in the Rivers District? And can you maybe lay out a time frame on when you would envision those things happening?
The greatest feature of what we are doing is that this type of investment invites other investments. I have no doubt that there will be interest from hotels, there will be interest from residential and commercial developers. That's what allows this district to build out. And that is the key to the Rivers District. We have something called a community revitalization levy. Right now, the tax uplift that we have stays in this area. When that revitalization levy concludes, the tax uplift flows to all of Calgary. All Calgarians stand to benefit from this type of a project coming to life. Thank you.
We'll go to Alana and then Paula.
Sorry about that. Alana Smith, Globe and Mail. I don't know who can answer this question, but can anybody speak to the surrounding development plans and who holds those development rights, and then how that kind of played a role in this deal?
Thanks very much for that question. Because we are still at definitive agreement stage, once that's done, we'll be able to take a look at who's interested in what parcels, whether it's part of this project or it's in the Rivers District writ large. And it's going to be a decision of who is our construction partner, who's going to be doing the infrastructure work. All of those things are yet to come, so I wish I could give you an answer right now. We just haven't gotten to that stage yet.
Thanks. If I could have another question for Premier Smith. So a $330 million commitment from the province for this arena deal, that's a lot of money. I'm just wondering how you would defend that investment to Albertans outside of Calgary, and just take us through those conversations that were happening since you became leader up until now.
Sure. When we released our budget, we showed that we were investing about $3 billion in capital in Edmonton and $2.9 billion in Calgary. And part of that was that we were hoping that we'd be able to find a way to bridge the gap between the team and the city in being able to support them in their infrastructure development. There's been lots of proposals about how we can assist in revitalizing Calgary, especially in the downtown area. And we felt that this would be the absolute best way to do it, because it is investing in public infrastructure, it's helping to build out an entire district, it brings in the partners of the Calgary Stampede, and I think it's going to turn this entire area, especially when it's connected with both the green line as well as the red line, as major stops, it is really going to do an amazing job of revitalizing this part of downtown. So I felt like we were had a little bit more work that we needed to do in Calgary just to be able to bridge that gap. That being said, we also know that in Edmonton they have a stage 2 project that they want to advance for the Oilers group, and so we're prepared to have a conversation as well if there's additional work that we need to do in Edmonton, so that both of our downtowns in Calgary and Edmonton can grow out together. I think people expect that the province is going to do these kinds of major infrastructure investments. We partnered on LRT. We've partnered on building the ring road. We partnered on expanding accelerating the work on Deerfoot. So when you're investing in roads and bridges and underpasses and LRT, I think that has a widespread community support.
This is also for Premier Smith, so you can stay up there. It's Colette Doors from the Canadian Press. I see Mayor Sohi is holding a news conference this afternoon to talk about this. If you could just explain, you guys, I don't think, put money into the Edmonton Arena, which also has a community arena component. Yeah. So if you could just explain to Mayor Sohi what you're thinking here.
Well, I have talked to a council member in Edmonton to let them know that we understand that when the Edmonton Arena came together, it was a different group of players, different place, different time, different agreement. And I don't know if they had asked for a provincial partner at that time. They were able to come to an agreement on their own. Now they've got significant issues in Edmonton. For the Oilers Phase 2 expansion to go ahead, they do need to have some assistance with infrastructure, as well as there's a Boyle Street facility that is going to be moved. And so there's a few things that we can do to assist Edmonton. We want both of our cities to have vibrant downtowns. And so we stand open, ready to help if there are specific infrastructure asks in Edmonton. But one of the things I would say about the Rogers Place, they do have a community arena, which is so popular, so valuable. A lot of the amateur teams are there, and I'm just delighted that that's going to be part of this project as well.
And just to follow up, how much does the timing of this announcement correspond to the election? Did you apply any pressure for them to get it done sooner rather than later?
You know, I would have loved for it to have been done months ago, but I think it is pretty clear that this is an important decision. It's a big amount of money. We wanted to make sure that it could be debated during the election, and we hope that we'd be able to get a mandate from the people of Calgary to go ahead with it. So I think it's important that it's out there so it can be debated, it can be discussed, and I'm hopeful that we get a lot of support.
Thank you.
Ryan Pike, Nation Network. This would probably be for Councillor Sharp or Mayor Gondek. Just looking at the handy map you handed out, there's a 5A Street label that doesn't exist right now. Is the intention for, I guess, this portion of land to sort of be jutted out a bit and added to have the footprint for the new facility?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. There is going to be some movement of roadways, and that's what you're seeing on that map. Again, once we get to the definitive agreement stage and we start looking at what is in the best interest of movement, both for pedestrians as well as vehicles, that's when we will get to the business of figuring out which roads go where.
And I guess a follow-up to that, given that you're sort of building on more or less the same land and you're building very similar to some of the things you were building earlier in the prior incarnation, do you have an idea yet of how much of the previous design work or how much of the previous development permitting work would be able to be continued, or how much of it needs to be restarted?
Development permits are generally tied to the design that goes along with them. That is not before us at this moment. So once again, once definitive agreements are in place, we will be looking at design work. We'll be figuring out what the best thing to do in this space is, along with all of our partners. Thank you.
Question for the mayor or your designate. Scott Dipple from CBC. The significant cost escalation from the city side of things. Can you tell us a bit about the sourcing of that money, and in particular if it will get to property taxes?
Thanks for the question. This is a cash deal with from the city portion. So what you would be seeing is the allocated funding that we had for the previous deal was already there. That's been transparent. The new money that's added on is cash from the fiscal stability. I always get that one wrong. Stability reserve, FSR.
Okay.
No added taxes to taxpayers. That's the question. There's the answer.
Okay. And I had a question for Mr. Bean as well. Just wondering if you can do just a bit of a contrast and compare with the announcement today, how that would compare with the previous agreement.
I think what you've heard earlier from a number of the speakers is that what we're talking about here is quite a bit larger scope of project, well beyond a narrow event center. With the community arena and then the indoor and outdoor gathering places, those are real community-centric focus that we didn't have. Our community gathering place on the old concept was really to close down Stampede Trail, which kind of practically doesn't work when you take a step back. So to have event center with a community arena and then all the gathering place, that there's quite a bit larger scope, and so that would be the biggest difference.
Hi there, Jordan Canigan with CTV News. This is either for the Mayor or Councillor Sharp. Looking at the proposed design and outline already, the Saddledome is going to be torn down. Who's covering that cost? What is that cost? I know previously in the deal it was around $15 million, 12.5 was covered by the city. What is that cost now?
Once again, we will be looking at costs, and we'll be looking at allocating that responsibility to folks as we're going through definitive agreements. I know I keep saying that, I know it's frustrating to everybody, but once we get through the definitive agreement stage, we'll have much more to share with you.
So just to clarify though, would it be built into these costs that are already there to be figured out later, or will that demolition cost be outside of what has already been pledged by any of the partners here?
I would imagine that the negotiations have included a conversation around that, and once again, when we get to the place that we can release the documents to you, you'll be able to see how it's going to be covered. Thanks.
A question for a city representative. When it comes to the previous deal, we know we heard a lot about fresh start in this work. How much of the previous work from the previous deal is included in this, and so are we a bit further ahead based on that previous work when it comes to this land here?
So what I'll say is, yeah, it was a fresh start. We really had to look at all lessons learned. What was used? Well, I can tell you, a team of people that understood the deals before, what kind of didn't work out, what we needed to be done. You know, things that you could have utilized, but a fresh start really did mean this is going to be a new project. You can't even compare the two at this point, but we did utilize as much information to get us to where we could at this point.
Rick Bell, Calgary Sun. For Premier Smith, no surprise. You mentioned a couple of times the election, the political battle of Alberta that starts on Monday. How big a part do you think this arena, this event center, Rivers District deal will play in the election? And what will you be telling people? What will be your message to them when you are seeking their vote on May 29th with respect to this deal?
Well, here's what I'd say. There was a unanimous vote of council. I would love for there to be unanimous support for this deal as well, regardless of what the political parties are, because I think this is important for Calgary. We've all been spending an awful lot of time looking at some of the difficulties both of our large cities have been having, and what we can do to be able to assist. We've got different ideas about how to do that, and I felt like this would be the very best thing that we could do for Calgary, is to make sure that we did whatever it took to bridge the gap so that the two negotiating partners could get back to the table. And I get the very strong sense that there was grave disappointment when the deal didn't come together before, and that there was a lot of enthusiasm for us to do what we could to help get it restarted. We've been watching this for a number of months now, and I'm just delighted that all of the players were able to. I think that this is going to be fantastic for Calgary.
And the supplementary is, I think you mentioned that if you want to see this deal go through to fruition, vote for the UCP. Do you have any sense that anybody would kibosh this deal? If you're not going to, but do you actually think this deal is necessary for you to get reelected for this deal to happen?
Look, I think that this deal should go ahead. Regardless, when you look at how we're intending to fund it, it would be over 3 years, $100 million a year. That this is the kind of thing that the province invests in all the time. Is the kind of thing that the city has been asking for, is how we can assist in helping to revitalize downtown Calgary. This is a really vital district for the city. It's vital for us to support the Flames. It's vital for us to make sure we continue to have the Battle of Alberta. And I would just hope that we'd have the same spirit of unanimity that the council had. I think everybody on council put their partisan interests aside and put the city first. And I would hope that we would see the same thing happen at the provincial level as well.
Just a quick question for John Bean. John, I'm wondering, and I understand what we've heard about the agreements need to be finalized, but I'm just curious if everything goes according to plan, when or what season you could see the Flames moving into this new building.
Wes, have you not been listening to these learned colleagues here? And I know I'm a rookie up here, but I think that's been asked and answered.